Right, one of the fundamentals of fishing when you're float fishing in particular, obviously, is plumbing up and having an understanding of the depth and what you're faced with in front of you. I personally think that's really important, because when you obviously just see a piece of water in front of you, looks great, but what's happening under the water, that's what it's like for fish. That's where they're living. So we've got to get that right as anglers and build the picture in your mind of your peg. So that's very, very important. Now, for me, when you're plumbing up, there's two choices of plummet. First of all, a 30-gram plummet. My basic rule is anytime I'm fishing with anything over like an 8 elastic, so something like a heavier elastic, certainly like, you know, Dura Slip in 11, 13, 15, I want a big heavy plummet, because the elastic's so strong in the tip, I need to be able to read what's going on at the bottom, whether the bottom's hard or soft, or if there's snags or whatever it is. So I need something nice and heavy to show me. Now, when you're fishing with elastics lighter, like 5, 6s, I mean, I've got a 5 in here today because I'm fishing for eyed and stuff like that, roach. I don't want as heavy a plummet, so I've got the 20-gram. All right, now that's important, because if you've got a big 30-gram plummet, you're not reading it properly with like 5, 6 foot of elastic pulling out all the time. So you want something that you can control and understand nice and easily. So once I've popped my plummet on, first thing I always do is just drop in on a top kit in front of myself, just to get an idea of what's there. So you can see there, I've probably got about, I'm going to say 2.5 foot of water. Very, very hard. You know, it gets shallower here, probably like, yeah, to maybe 2 foot. So I can see that there's a nice shallow gravelly area right here in the edge, which looks nice. So I don't know what to expect. I've never ever fished on this lake, so you're about to see me ship out for the first time. So I tend to do it just a section at a time. So I've put a section on there. Well, that's a lot deeper. That's significantly deeper. So that's like, I'd say that's 4 foot there. So right, it seems to me like there's a gravel plateau here for about 1 metre, and then it starts to slope off quite quickly, to be fair. So if I just drop a little bit further, there we go, it's deeper still. So now we're at, I mean, I would say that's a good 5 foot there now. Can drop the rig in there. Let's just see, if I pull it up nice and slow, so I drop it in, this is on the top 5, drop the plummet in, and as I lift it up slow, you can see it's coming off the bottom pretty easily. So I'm going to say that there's not a lot of silt there, and there's a nice 5 foot. Let's see if it keeps going. Let's see if it gets any deeper. Another section out. No, it's exactly the same depth. Look at that. So it's exactly the same depth there, which is interesting. And again, if I bob it down and I lift up nice and slowly, you can actually see it's a little bit stuck in the bottom. Can you see that as I'm pulling, the elastic is coming out of the pole? So because I've got a 20-gram plummet and a nice light elastic, look, and then it's coming out. What's really interesting about that is, I wouldn't say it's deep in the silt. I would call the bottom more sticky than silty. I'm not going to say it's like, the difference is when you're on a silty, you can like pull like 2 foot of elastic out. So that's quite nice. Let's go one more section further out, see if it gets any deeper or shallower. It doesn't. So look, so what's happening here is there's a nice gravel in the edge. I bet it's brilliant for margin fishing in the summer, nice and shallow. And then the gravel slopes away and you're faced with pretty much a flat bottom all the way out. And let's just see if it gets any siltier. No, it's, again, I'm calling it sticky. It feels maybe clayey to me, which is great. Gives me a lot of confidence, means I'm not going to have to worry too much about the fish digging around in the silt. I think they're going to be able to eat off the bottom nicely. It's obviously a fantastic place to go fishing if the bottom's like that. Means I can feed a little bit of ground bait. Again, not worry about the peg fizzing up too much. I think if I see any bubbles today, I'm going to say it'll be actually coming from fish, not from the bottom itself. So, because bouncing it up and down, there's no bubbles coming up there at all. So that's given me a really good understanding there. So, you know, I popped a 4x12's float on there and unravelled it. It's definitely 5 foot. Let's just have a look. Obviously, I'm well over 6 feet tall. Cough, cough. Let's have a look here. Oh look, so it's going to be like 5.5 foot, something like that, which I think is a lovely depth. I put a 412s on, I've got to be honest, that's a bit light. I'm going to need something a little bit heavier there. But that's a really nice way of plumbing up, and now I've got to decide where to fish. And for me, the only obvious feature in the lake is where that gravel goes down and then levels off. So I could either fish on the nice little flat bit, or I could fish on that slope, have a plumb around on that slope and just see if there's a nice place I could fish a little bit closer to myself on the slope in a different depth of water, maybe like 4 foot of water, for example. So I got something there to fish on as well. And then after that, with it just being flat, distance comes into it. There's not many people on the lake today, so I'm not going to have to go far. If there was a lot of people on the lake, I would probably push out a little bit further, give myself a little bit of my own water. You can imagine this is obviously a lovely dug lake, shallow down like that, and a nice flat across the bottom. So the obvious places for me are going to be near and around that slope, because that's the only feature I've got in the peg, and then looking to get the distance right based on how good the fishing is. I'm going to start at 10 meters, but if after say 30 minutes I haven't had any bites, I'll move out to 13 meters, same rigs probably, and I can just start again, because obviously the fish don't want to come close to me. So they're the sort of things I'm looking for. You know, on a match I would plumb up right out to 16 meters, so I've got a true reed. My understanding is that this lake's pretty flat, there's no hidden bars or anything, so just for what we're doing today I don't need to. But some fisheries do have like little rises as you go further out, or it gets deeper again. So make sure you plumb your peg in its entirety, then you've got a great understanding so you can catch more fish.